Welcome back, everybody. We're talking movies again today. I'm very excited about today because I'm chatting with a very good friend of mine who I used to work with. We'll talk about that in a second. But I thought it was about time we had a girl on film for Boys on Film. And it is Dina Burgess. Is that how you wanted to be introduced, Davina?
No, Dina's fine.
Dina. It was Win FM when we were broadcasting the breakfast show together, co-presenting.
Yeah, gosh, that was a while ago.
God, what was it? 15, 20 years?
Really? 20? No. Probably on and off. We both cut. Well, I went to Win, and then I came away, and then I went back, and I was back and forth for a while, wasn't I? And so were you, actually.
We had a lot of fun though, didn't we?
Oh, it was great. Good old days.
Yeah, we always used to break the rules.
Always. Very naughty.
So welcome to Boys on Film. Today, girls on film. Well, a boy and a girl on film, I guess. Well, we can say girls on film. I just want to sing the Duran Duran song.
I'm so honoured to be allowed as a girl. I'm very honoured. Very flattered.
So we're talking about The Intruder. Now, this is a film we saw yesterday, so it's fresh in our memory. It's been shown at the BFI London Film Festival 2020, directed by Natalia Mehta and starring Érica Rivas, who I'm a big fan of. Well, I've seen one of her films before, and that was Wild Tales. I don't know if you've seen that.
She is a great actress. It's just I didn't really get a chance to do herself justice in this one, I thought.
No, it was a bit disappointing. It fell flat, didn't it, for both of us?
I like films that you're not quite sure whether it's a descent into madness or whether there's something supernatural going on. But in this, I think there was just too many different elements because you didn't know whether it was to do with medication she was on, whether she was actually going slowly mad, or whether there was something supernatural. It kind of threw all these elements at you. So I suppose you'd describe it as a kind of psychological thriller, horror. I don't know, it's difficult to describe it, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's got horror elements, although it didn't push that genre far enough for me. It did seem like it was trying to be a psychological thriller, but it didn't really thrill me that much. I think you've got to thrill somebody, you've got to thrill the audience for it to be a thriller, and it didn't really.
So yes, yeah, I mean, initially I was quite invested in her character, but the incident that's supposed to have triggered all this, I actually thought she was, you could see elements of what was going to happen to her before that incident happened. So for me, there was a lot of confusing messages, and it broke its own rules a few times as well. So it kind of, I don't want to give too much away, but if she was possessed in some way, the way that they actually resolved it didn't make sense to me at all. But I don't want to give away spoilers, so it's difficult to say, really.
Yeah, it's really difficult to talk about it, isn't it? To talk about it properly, unless you've seen it. But she plays a character called Ines, and I thought it started really promisingly. The first 20 minutes had me captivated. It was quite intriguing, but then it just fell apart for me, really.
I love the fact that she was an actress that was dubbing films into Spanish. And then she was also a singer, so obviously the voice was really important. I think this whole thing was that something was taking her voice.
Yeah.
And you didn't know whether the thing that was taking her voice was something internal, as in her madness, or whether there was actually some kind of external force or supernatural force that was causing her to lose her voice. So in that way, I kind of liked the fact that something was taking her voice. But also I felt it was a bit contrived, that they deliberately had to, because when they scanned her, there was this presence in her throat, wasn't there? And you didn't know what that was. But it's so difficult to describe it. I feel like I'm making it sound really confused. But basically, it's, about this woman who goes either slowly mad or is possessed. We're never quite sure.
Yeah. Until
the end. There was elements of, I hate to compare it to The Black Swan because it was such a different film. But that whole, the madness and creativity and that descent, and because with the Black Swan you're never quite sure whether it's internal or external, and even here it is internal, but is it an external internal or internal? Now I'm just making it really confusing. What I mean.
So Ines, she's kind of like a dubbing artist as well as a singer, like you say. She's in the studio, and one of her colleagues, following a traumatic event, which has been and gone, we can't really talk about that either, but following this event, her colleague says that she could have an intruder, which is where the title of the movie comes from, and that's what she thinks could be explaining the noises in her in her throat and her voice.
Yeah, and basically an intruder, I presume, is a spirit that's a kind of possession. But then that's where it got confused for me, because it then introduces elements that you could have more than one intruder. like, I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that. And then that to me was like just totally broke its own rules halfway, maybe not broke its rules, but introduced a new set of rules halfway through, which then makes you think, okay. And for me, I get frustrated when that happens in a film, because I like the rules to be either set out or completely broken, not just to be manipulated to suit the plot.
Yeah, exactly. I thought the same, because at the end, I could almost see the finale coming. It was a bit predictable. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, really?
Even the ending in itself, I didn't object to as an ending, but I objected to it as the ending of this film. Because I think, because it starts off quite promising, and then it totally loses its way for me. And then at the end, I thought it could have pulled it together. But like I say, I don't mind that as a potential ending, but not for this film.
So what do you think it's down to? Do you think it's down to the writing or the direction? Because the acting I thought was great. I mean, she's great. Yeah.
I wonder whether it was highly... to me, it felt like a lot might have been edited out, because it almost felt like, to me, that it was incoherent, that there was bits missing, that you know... if that bit had been there, then I would have understood that progression. And also, I have a big problem with films that are dreams within dreams. Are you awake? Are you dreaming? I actually quite like Inception, which is quite controversial.
Oh my God. That's pushing it completely the other way, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit of a cop-out, isn't it?
Yeah, but with this, the whole waking dreaming thing didn't do it for me. I don't know. I think it was possibly the screenplay, possibly the writing and the direction for me. I think lost it. It's a shame. It had potential.
I know. I feel exactly the same. You messaged me afterwards and said, I feel really disappointed. I feel a bit, not a bit down, but it kind of left that in my head as well. Yeah, it is completely.
That's the worst thing for me when I come out of a film and I feel, if I feel angry or I feel, happy or I feel cheated, then at least that's something. But I just didn't feel much emotion at the end of this film, other than the relief that it was finished. An
hour of my life that I can't get back. Well, an hour and a half of my life I can't get back. That's what I thought afterwards. I thought, so disappointing. And I just felt a bit deflated afterwards.
Yeah, totally deflated. It's a real shame.
Yeah. So mark out of 10 for me, it's a 5. I wanted to give it more for obviously for Érica Rivas.
I'd say 4.
Oh, ouch. So there we go. Not good enough for average from Dina Burgess.
No, not my punches, I'm afraid. No.
Thank you very much for joining us. We've got a couple more videos to come, so make sure you subscribe, everybody watching, and hopefully intrigued by what's coming up on the BFI London Film Festival. It is great this year. You've seen a few of the movies as well, Dina.
Yeah, really mixed bag, but really interesting, really good, really enjoying it so far.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye, Dina.
Bye.
Good to catch up again after all these years.
I know.